Slayer.
Total purification targeted for the village of Kali.
Oh man, look at the caliber of that weapon.
Launching the Slayer in 3, 2, 1. Release.
So yeah, let me go into my initial thoughts here. Just some stats on the game. The physical disc only has 85 megabytes, and the entire download is about 85 gigabytes. So again, all you have is basically a license or like a key to be able to access your game through the interwebs or whatever. Your game also has to be like always online. And that's basically how they're fighting piracy and all that kind of jazz. The design and movement itself feels pretty good, though I would say that the movement is definitely slower from the previous games that I've played. And also seen, too, like Doom Eternal, for example. I think that was 2016. But, like, overall, the combat feels good and fluid once you actually get going. There were multiple times where I was almost dead there and was able to just plow through some enemies, get the stuff that I needed and basically continue on with the mission. I think overall the graphics are really well done. There are, in my opinion, some shortcuts, like with the rain. They're taking time to show a vertical downfall and then another kind of slanted slice of rain and meshing those together. And when you're moving, the rain isn't really moving with you. The rain is more or less static with your point of view. So you're moving through the world and the rain is more or less static. We're also not seeing like effects of rain. We're not seeing a ton of effects for like fire or anything like that. The best aspects of fire are actually around the edges of your screen when you're taking fire damage, but some of the fire looks pretty good. Some of the fire also looks not as great with lower resolution when you're playing at 60 frames. Playing the game, the frame rate stays, from what I can see, fairly stable. It's only when there's actually a lot kind of going on in that first mission that I'm seeing some of those kind of stutters a little bit, or like some frame rate drops a little bit. The animations for the combat and for the weapons feels great. It's punchy, it's hard-hitting. Okay, you feel like you are devastating on the field, and it's great. And two, they're going to, even with just the first mission, they're going to be giving us some later missions where we're going to have some type of, like, God mode equipment or tools at our disposal to be able to work on, just absolutely ravaging everything in the game. And I think that's great. I think games should always have moments like that. Excuse me. Also, too, the game itself is unapologetic for being masculine, which is wonderful. Okay, we just have a hero taking on, the powers that be, and just absolutely obliterating and devastating everything. For people, too, that wish to have some collectibles or some achievements to go for, those are all there, which is nice. And it looked like, too, that actually has some optional progression in the game as well, which is cool. So this isn't just achievement hunting. This is also finding stuff in the game to actually collect and actually see the results of it later in the game. So, and then to the campaign is 22 missions. Again, that is probably one of the longest campaigns we've had, or at least mission-wise, for quite some time. Normally, like Call of Duty has maybe a dozen missions, if that, and this is basically double that. So that's really, really nice. It makes that price tag of $70 a little bit easier to swallow. As for the enemy variety, I feel like overall things are pretty easy how everything is color coded in the game. So it's really easy to tell what's coming, how you need to be able to respond to it, and you can get that flow of combat really going in the game when there's a lot of enemies around. So, as you were able to see in the playthrough. My only complaint is sprinting and jumping gives you actually a higher jump, and that was just something that I struggled with at the very beginning there. But overall, yeah, this game is probably, just playing the first mission, probably roughly around like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 for me. It's not something that has completely pulled me in, but like the combat is fun, the guns are punchy, and the game too is giving us quite a bit of tools at the very beginning so that we can start developing our play style for a lot of stuff, or you can mix and match stuff as things are happening on the field, and that's really nice. It allows some player choice there. And sometimes with today, in AAA games, that's missing today. So overall, pretty good game, good start to the game. I'm interested and excited to actually play more. Again, I don't know any of the lore, and we actually do have like a different character, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but it does seem like a different character, or maybe like, quote, the original Slayer. And I think doing the Dark Ages, I mean, you look around and the scale and the design of things, like, the world is believable that you're playing in and that you're running in. And again, the audio sounds really good. I'm already getting invested in a few of the characters. I'm curious about how the game is also going to progress. And two, like, I get a sense that there is definitely a sense of like large scale to this game. Again, to give you the feeling of like you are just a badass and just tearing through everything. And that's great. If everything kind of feels easy and is on a smaller scale with not a lot of enemy variety, that's going to get boring after a while, and you're going to lose that sense of curb stomping everything. But yeah, I definitely think the game is going to scale up from this. We know that there's going to be a mech at some point, and we also know that there's also going to be a dragon. So we already saw dragons pretty early in the game. We've already seen titans through the first mission. We also know that there's going to be other things like gun emplacements. We know that there's a mech that we got to see in some gameplay and in one of the trailers for Doom. So yeah, they are setting up a show, an experience for the player. And I imagine by the time I've played through most of it, or roughly half, I'm probably going to be giving this an 8 out of 10. Now, for graphically, yes, I wish the frame rate was a little better, especially with how linear and closed the game is. I just don't feel like it's optimized maybe as well as it could be. And the other thing, too, is like the frame rate of some of the fire doesn't look as good. The resolution for some of the armor pieces or some of the NPCs also don't look as good. But like the combat animations and everything else, that actually looks great. And the game run ebbs and flows pretty well most of the time during that combat. So yeah, pretty happy with the game so far. Again, this is probably 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. So yeah, this is a pretty good one. I don't think everybody would necessarily like this style of game. Again, very much the HUD is the same, very much all the way from the original Doom. They've kept kind of what the identity of the IP there, but they've also changed some stuff and given us some new tools, and I think that's great, just like the Shield. So with that, folks, you can always follow me at GamingGarbage22 over at YouTube. You can also follow me over at Twitch at Don't Tread on Thee. And then, yeah, also on YouTube, we have our playlist. There's multiple types of stuff there. But, yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. And, hey, we'll see you guys on the next one.